welcome to Feelings and Other F Words. I literally just got back home and I ran into my office and turned on the microphone to record this episode because I witnessed something happen in live time. And I didn't realize it until I saw it happen like 4 times in a row. And then when I got home, I opened my DMs, and you guys know I get a ton of DMs asking for advice like daily. And this one particular DM was completely about the topic that I want to talk about today. And I was like, this is kismet. This is how the universe speaks to me. We are talking about this topic immediately. And the F word this week is about flattery and why high performers hate to see a fucking compliment come their way. So I was on site doing some team development work with a bunch of executives, and I was watching them give praise to one another, right? Because that's part of their company, and they're like doing this praise thing, which I agree with. Sometimes it feels a little forced, but no judgment. And then I watched the receiving end of the praise, and it was fucking wild. I watched all of these senior people get a compliment and basically punch it in the face. It was like, deflect, deflect, deflect. Like, it was like, thank you, but, oh, thanks so much. And like, it was wild. It was wild to me watching it happen. And I was like, what is it about flattery and high performers? Because I feel it, right? Like, I totally feel it. Like, it's taken a lot of mental energy when somebody is like, oh my God, Daryl, I love your outfit, for me to be like, oh my God, thank you so much. It has pockets, right? Like, deflecting from the actual compliment. It's taken me a concerted effort to do that. So I wanted to dive into the research because I've never done that before. I didn't really know why I haven't. I just haven't. So you're going to come along this nerdy trip with me, and we're going to start with the DM. I think that's a good place to start. Yeah, we're going to do that because I think it sets us up really nicely for what we're talking about. Okay. So this DM basically says, I'm a director at a tech firm. Last week, I closed a massive account that I'd been leading for 6 months. And at our meeting, the VP spent 5 minutes giving this glowing, over-the-top speech about my, quote, visionary leadership and, quote, brilliant strategy. And she goes on to say, like, I literally thought I was going to throw up. My chest tightened. I was, turning red. And then he handed me the mic, and I immediately laughed it off. And I said, honestly, I just sent a few emails and got lucky. The team did the actual work. It was just riding their coattails, which, pause, how many of us have done? How many of us continue to do this, right? Like, it's a real thing. Unpause, back to the DM. I thought I was being a good, humble leader, but afterwards, and this is the thing that really captivated me, afterwards, my VP pulled me aside and was genuinely pissed. He said, when you deflect like that, you make me look like a fucking idiot for praising you. And you undermine your own authority in front of your direct reports. And then she goes on to say, like, I thought I was doing the normal polite thing. Like, but now things feel weird. Like, why can't I just take a compliment? This is the question, right? Like, and I think it's split up into a few factors of how many of us were socialized to behave this way. How many of us have been taught to be humble? But is it really about humility? According to research, according to neuroscience, like, no, it's not about humility. You were doing exactly what your brain is wired to do when it perceives a threat. And that might be the most wild statement you could have possibly thought come out of my mouth, but this is what the science says. What you experienced in that meeting wasn't actually modesty or humility. It was a concept called self-verification theory. And this was a concept pioneered by William Swan at UT Austin. Again, self-verification theory. And it's a fairly simple premise, but it's brutal, that human beings desire a predictable, coherent identity more than they desire a positive one. Which basically means we want our inside and outside worlds to match. The stories we tell about ourselves and the stories other people tell about us should match. But if your internal narrative is, I'm a hard worker, I grind, I'm barely keeping it together, and I'm just hoping nobody is realizing I'm making this up as I go, and then your boss stands in front of a room and calls you a brilliant visionary, these are two realities that crash because your brain flags the compliment as something that is untrue, which is wild, right? Like, if you don't feel like a brilliant visionary, having somebody else call you that feels like an affront. Just like if somebody has ever called you a fucking asshole, like I don't get offended when people call me a fucking asshole because sometimes I can be, but if you're not, I could see how that would be offensive to you. But I think, again, if you don't feel like a visionary, or if you don't feel brilliant, or if you don't feel like you actually led this team to success and somebody then publicly or even privately tells you this, you're going to feel like a fraud. So what happened in that moment, dear lady in my DMs, like you didn't deflect to be polite. You deflected to survive what sounds like to me as an identity crisis that was happening in live time. Just like I watched these executives deflect. Which brings me to a sidebar / off-topic point. If you are leading others, if you are parenting, see how your kid does with a compliment. See how your partner, your spouse, does with a compliment. And it might tell you everything you need to know about what's happening internally in their own psyche or with the story that they're telling about themselves. So this is actually a really useful tool of now I know more than ever in that room which executives I need to ping and be like, hey, let's chat real quick. I want to talk about something, because I saw what happened when they were offered a public compliment that they maybe didn't agree with and how they kind of brushed it off. So you know who you are. I'm coming for you. We're going to fix this. So the other part of this, right? And you might have already been like, ooh, this sounds a lot like imposter syndrome. Girl, it is. It is. It's so tied into imposter syndrome. And it goes back to this foundational research in the 70s, basically almost the 80s, by Clancy and Imes. Flattery, in this lens, right? Flattery can feel like a threat because to a high achiever, praise isn't a reward. Praise can feel like a goalpost almost. And now the goalpost moved to a terrifying new baseline of I am now a brilliant visionary. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? And I think that is interesting because it does directly tie into imposter syndrome. So if you got up there, right, back to the DM, if you got up there in front of that room and say, thank you, I am a brilliant visionary indeed. Thank you for publicly acknowledging it. One, the public perception would be awful of you. It's bad PR for yourself. And two, you are basically implicitly agreeing to perform at an impossible visionary level every single time, or it can feel that way. And God forbid you make a mistake, right? Like if I got up there and was like, thank you, I know I am a brilliant visionary, not sarcastically, which I don't think I could do. Then all of a sudden, anytime I made a mistake, I'd be like, there goes that brilliant visionary Daryl. Like, look at her go with her brilliance. Like, it would be so much pressure. So really what happens is we deflect. And by deflecting and saying like, I just got lucky, or it was really my team, what you're doing in live time is actually lowering expectations for people around you. And truly, deflection is just a defense mechanism at this point for future burnout, right? And your brain does this all without you even realizing it. So here's the thing with flattery and deflection. Your brain did its job in that moment, right? When we say things like, oh my God, thank you, it was really my team though. You protected yourself, which is the brain's number one job. If you've listened to these other podcasts, you know that the brain's number one job is to keep you from pain. Good, bad, or indifferent, however you feel about that, it's to keep you from pain, including making up stories about yourself and protecting you from things like praise, which feels scary. The thing that I also need to say, which maybe some of you will disagree with, but too fucking bad, the vice president in this story, your VP, ma'am out there who DM me, your VP's right. Deflecting praise is not always a victimless crime. If you immediately reject a compliment, you're subtly kind of saying to the person giving it to you, like, I think you're a liar. Or you're basically telling everybody that you're standing in front of like, your judgment's flawed. Your data's wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. And Even beyond that, you're creating a leadership void. Like if you're leading a team and the leader doesn't believe that they earned the win, the team will feel less secure in following that person. So false modesty actually breeds insecurity. I'm going to say it again. False modesty is a breeding ground for actual insecurity. So what do we do about it, right? This is the juicy part. What do we do about it? We know the problem. We know why we are the way we are. What the F do we do about it? We can't just sit back and admire the problem. No, that doesn't do anything. We have to fix it. So here are some intentional action steps on how to rewire the process of flattery starting tomorrow morning. We're getting right into it. We're not letting this go on a minute longer, a second longer. The first thing, you're going to hate this, but too bad. The first thing is when somebody gives you a compliment, you are going to say the most difficult words in the English language for high performers to say, and that is thank you. Period. No but, or I got lucky. No, it was a team effort. You sit in the horrific, uncomfortable silence that follows, and it's going to feel like physical agony the first 10 times you do it, but you're going to sit in that and do it anyway. You're going to say thank you, or thank you, I appreciate it. That's it. That is it. If you need to distribute praise, you do it second. You accept first and you distribute second. That's the rule, right? First rule is thank you, period. Second rule is accept first, distribute second. So like if you genuinely need to share credit, which you should, you should give flowers to people who have helped you along the way. You need to say thank you first. And then you say something like, I am incredibly proud of the strategy that we executed here. And I couldn't have brought this project over the finish line or insert corporate jargon here without the help of Sarah and John, right? Like, or whoever. You need to own your part first, and then you welcome other people in. That is the simple, and simple is not always easy, right? It's like diet and exercise. Like it's simple advice, but not always easy to do. That is the simple solution to this. And you have to practice it. You have to notice yourself and catch yourself when you're in the process of deflecting and say things like, thank you so much. That made my day. And it could be an outfit too, right? Like, again, like I told you in the beginning, thank you so much. My mom bought it for me, right? Like I just deflected that whole thing. Thank you so much. You made my day. My mom actually bought me this outfit and it's one of my favorites, right? Like that sounds different. It's such a slight shift, but now all of a sudden you're perceived differently and you're helping to retell the narrative to yourself to fight that imposter syndrome or to fight off any self-doubt or insecurities that might be brewing underneath the surface, because your words 100,000 million% matter. They absolutely matter to you. And then the final thing is, because of the self-verification theory, right, UT Austin, your immediate reflex is always going to be to reject the positive feedback, even if you say the words, you mouth it, you puppet it perfectly. You are banned. You are banned from evaluating a compliment in the moment. Okay, I've banned you. You're banned. After you verbally accept it, write it down and wait 24 hours before your logical brain decides if the feedback was actually accurate or not. Like, let the cortisol drop from being on the spot and having to deal with it. Like, let your systems run for a bit and get to a stable place before you assess if the claim was fraudulent or not. That's what we're going to do. At the end of the day, here's what I'm going to leave you with. You need to stop using modesty as a shield. You got to knock it off. It is insulting to you. It is insulting to your peers. It is exhausting to your team. And at the end of the day, it's holding you back. Like nothing good is coming from modesty as deflection. So the next time somebody tells you that you do a good job, you look them dead in the eye. You feel the panic rise in your chest. And you say those two words that sometimes feel like the hardest of thank you. That is it. That is all. That is all for today. I believe in you. I trust you. I'm aggressively cheering you on from here. I think you are all brilliant visionaries, some more than others, if I'm being honest. But go practice this and see if anything happens. And I will see you the next time on Feelings and Other F Words.